unhappy, that the other person normally is unhappy too. I mean, and I thought about it, and I guess that's true. You might not want to admit it, or if you're sticking your head in the ground like an ostrich kind of thing, but normally if someone is really unhappy, it will affect another person. And I don't know, I think from listening to you this morning, the things that you named off, if there was a chance with the relationship between, being more appreciated and talking about it and saying what's really on your mind, I think that could possibly turn some things around, unless you were, like you said, really in deep stuff by this time. By the time they show up and they just go, look, I'm just sick of this. This is dead. I want to get away from her. Or I want to get away from him, or something like that. I
mean, they loved each other at some point.
Right.
So really, there are some situations that no one should be expected to live under. You know, if you're being abused, if someone's, hurting a child, if someone is completely irresponsible, those are the kinds of things that I would think, okay. But could most people that are getting divorced try to work something out had they gotten the proper help later? Who am I to say? But I think every relationship that I've ever come across, including my own, could certainly be helped by better communication and working together. And at times, we all have to retool.
Yeah. Now you have so many excellent qualifications. Does a mediator have to be an attorney, or what type of educational background should they have, or should people look for in a good mediator? Well,
if you look at mediation as a big umbrella word, there are kids on schoolyards that do mediation. There are programs in place, and I think there should be more of them, where you've got a little fellow with a clipboard, and when he sees a scuffle going on or something happening in the schoolyard, they come up and say, do you want to mediate this? And they'll talk, and this little fellow will help work out, their situation. There are no standards per se in terms of like a legal standard. Like, for instance, to be an attorney, you have to pass the bar, and so anyone could really hold themselves out as a mediator, which causes problems in some situations. For example, I think an area where a non-attorney mediator is really wonderful is in the area of child custody situations. In the court system, they use therapists as mediators to help parties come up with parenting plans. I have referred, I'm very much a believer in the team approach to divorce. It's a process that involves a lot of emotional issues, financial issues, and legal issues. So in that regard, I think that therapists are wonderful in working with families going through divorce. But I often have referred to therapists, and I do all the time, to work with parents who are having a difficult time working out a schedule. It's usually kids who are little, and one parent wants to flip the child from one home to the other every other day, or it's a teenager and they need to really kind of work on this, have very different feelings about it. So mental health practitioners, I think, make excellent mediators when it comes to child custody situations, and it's a very good place to use a mental health therapist. My concern with mediators in family law is that there's a legal process involved, and if someone is going to be in charge of that legal process, they really need to know what that process is, so that the case is handled properly. Because, as you know from your work in your other area, if a divorce isn't done properly in terms of the procedures the court demands, it could be set aside. So the last thing that two folks want to do is to use a person who doesn't know how to process their divorce properly and then have it be set aside later and have to get a divorce a second time from the same person, because that's not what anybody wants to do.
Oh my God.
But there are some very good non-attorney mediators out there. So you just need to find out how do they do things, and are they going to comply with the process that you need to comply with on the legal side of it, or perhaps they're working with an attorney. No matter who's handling your divorce, in my opinion, and I'm probably somewhat biased because I'm a lawyer, but I think that whether you're seeing me as a mediator, and I'm an attorney, or a non-attorney mediator, whoever you see, you really should have someone look over your agreement as your advocate, because when you're working in a neutral process, you're compromising. And you can sit down with someone who's just looking out for your interests and say, okay, Wanda, is this really what you wanted to do? Are you sure this is the best, the best deal that you feel that you're, going to work out here? And they can say to you, well, maybe you compromise a little here, but you saved yourself 20 grand in court. So as a neutral, it's important to let the clients know that I'm not working as an advocate, and that when this is over, they not only have a right to have it looked over by independent counsel, but they should have it looked over by independent counsel.
Yes.
And that person will one more set of eyes to make sure we're doing everything properly.
Now, you practice in what city?
Sherman Oaks. I'm over at the Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Okay, so you're local, and
it's a big challenge working there. The Cheesecake Factory's just done.
What is the hardest part of your work?
The hardest part of my work, when people become very entrenched in a very unreasonable place, and they won't allow me to bring in people that could possibly get them over that hurdle. For example, sometimes I get someone who feels that I deserve the most. I deserve more assets than he or she does because I'm the one that was disappointed the most.
Wow.
I worked harder, I gave up more, he or she made lots of promises that didn't come true, and I deserve a bigger slice of that pie because I'm the one that's hurting here.
Oh my God. You hit so many things on the head. That's true. Our 30 minutes has gone by. Yasser, you are the best director in the world. I love you. Thank you so much. And I love you guys. Thank you for joining us on The Answer of the Lips. Carmen, you are absolutely fabulous.
Oh, stop.
Thank you so much for having me on. You make me want to just be a better person. You know?
You are too much.
And don't give him that Xbox back this week. It'll be all right. He's going to join us next week on The Answer of the Lips, and just fabulous. If you need a mediator, I'm going to be sending everybody to you.
Oh, well, God bless you. Thank you.
Join us next week on The